50 countries from all over the world who chose to send fighters or naval vessels here to honor our country. And we say from the bottom of our hearts, we are grateful for our friends, grateful for our allies on this special anniversary. It is a very American thing to ring in 250 years of American history by parading our naval and Air Force might for the world to see. But I can't help but consider that 250 years ago, the waters of New York Harbor looked very, very different. While the Continental Congress met in Philadelphia to ratify the Declaration of Independence, General Washington was right here in Manhattan, peering out on this beautiful land and beautiful sea. His attention was fixed on the horizon, watching for sails of the most powerful navy on earth. 1 week before, the British had begun landing troops on Staten Island, and they had landed 32,000 in just over 6 weeks. One colonist still in the city recounted it seemed as if all of London was afloat and heading to the new nation. War was coming, and everyone knew it. By July of 1776, 80% of New York's population had emptied out in anticipation of the coming violence. And that brings us back to our great General Washington. He knew the battles to come would be bruising and would demand much of his men. But they needed to know, through hot summers and cold winters, exactly what they were being asked to fight for. And so, just a few days after the Declaration of Independence was signed, George Washington read aloud the words of the incredible Declaration. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Even today, 250 years to the day later, these words command a tremendous power over us as Americans. For 250 years, they have stirred our hearts and they've reminded us of who we are as a people. But to Washington's soldiers, to the people to whom they were first read, think about this, they were entirely new. What has become standard American parlance, they had never heard those words before. And I think it's something striking to reflect on, that in 2026, the Declaration was written with the assumption that its audience would immediately grasp its words. Though they had never heard it, they would know exactly what it meant. It wasn't written for historians, it wasn't written for academics, it wasn't written for the generations to come. It was written for the people of this fledgling country. It was written for the soldiers who would fight to turn those words into a new system of government. As a document, it does not handhold its readers. Its citizenship at a very hard level. It does not pause to explain who this Creator is. It doesn't explain what the equality of men means. It doesn't try to go into details about the consent of the governed. It simply declares these truths to be self-evident. 250 years later, it's worth asking, self-evident to whom? If the Declaration proclaims truths the founders believed to all mankind, yes, but it says those truths in language intended to be familiar specifically to the American nation that it was authored to, authored by, and authored for. It was, as Jefferson put it later in his own life, an expression of the American mind. A document whose purpose wasn't, quote, to find out new principles or new arguments, but to place before mankind the common sense of the subject, the common sense of the American people. That people had been generations in the making. 1776 was not an accident. The patriots of that era understood themselves to be heirs to an older civilization who would carry it forward. Now, they shared with Great Britain the same language, the same God, the same system of common law. They even read many of the same books and observed many of the same customs. They shared the same understanding of justice and public life. George Washington's boyhood offers a small but revealing example. When he was 13 years old, he copied down more than 100 entries from a tiny little book called The Rules of Civility and Decent Behavior. It was not an American work, but it was first published in London more than a century before George Washington was born. Yet the America that formed Washington demanded qualities that no book, no manual could teach. Before General Washington commanded an army, he spent his 20s surveying America's wild interior, saving up money, learning self-reliance on a continent that rewarded initiative more than pedigree. It didn't care if you were a nobleman, it cared what you could do. Now, our society at the time reinforced the habits Washington learned in the wilderness. Frontier life rewarded resourcefulness, while America's colonial assemblies taught citizens to govern their own affairs. It taught citizens to be self-governing human beings. Churches at the time, especially those who were touched by the Great Awakening, reminded congregants that no earthly hierarchy outweighed the equal dignity of every human soul before its creator. All of that came together. And so it was no surprise that when Washington's soldiers first heard the Declaration 250 years ago, they understood precisely what it meant. They understood the meaning that was conveyed. It was seismic, but it was their birthright as citizens of this new republic. The words might have been new, but they expressed a feeling, something that already lived in the heart of every single American patriot. And I believe those words still live in the heart of every single American patriot today. And for 7 long years, they fought for that birthright. It wasn't easy. On some days, it was hotter even than it was today, as hard as that is to believe. Many suffered and died for that dream and died for those principles. But by the grace of Almighty God, they secured for us a free, a proud, and an independent republic that endures, and doesn't just endure, but thrives to this very day. As Washington traded in the uniform for the presidency, he remained preoccupied with the physical land that had shaped him. He imagined wagons crossing mountains, paths out of the Alleghenies and the Appalachians, and canals connecting the Potomac and the Ohio River to its western valleys. Our first president would not live long enough to see that vision of a continent connected. He would not live to see it to completion. But the rivers he surveyed in his youth carried on westward without him. They carried settlers and new riches and cities waiting to be built. And eventually, they carried a 13-year-old boy by the name of James Buchanan Eads. In the fall of 1833, Eads and his family, like many Americans, moved west to the nation's growing frontier, the land of opportunity. And as their steamboat approached St. Louis, its boiler exploded, throwing him into the turbulent waters of the Mississippi. The family lost everything, every earthly possession, and the river nearly killed young Eads. From that moment on, he vowed not to be a slave to that mighty river, but to make it his own. He received no formal education, but to support his family, he sold apples on the St. Louis riverfront, captivated by the bustle and frontier of boomtown St. Louis. At 16, he took a job on the water, and not long after, he conceived of an idea that most engineers at the time, they thought it was crazy. They thought it was insane. You know, sunken ships and other treasures lay scattered along the bottom. Streams out east, the river's strong currents and turbid waters most insisted that ordinary diving in the mighty Mississippi was impossible. You could not do what Eads proposed that we do. But he disagreed, and so he did.
As a death warrant. Indeed it is. Which one of you would sign such a document? Would you, sir? Would you, madam? Would you sign your own death warrant? These are the people that were willing to sign this document. These are the people that was willing to give all they had so that a new nation might have birth. Huzzah! Let us read the names of the signers. First of all, the President of the Continental Congress, the Honorable John Hancock. Huzzah! Georgia, Button Gwinnett, Lyman Hall, and George Walton. Huzzah! North Carolina. All right. William Hoop, Joseph Hughes, and John Penn. Huzzah! South Carolina. Indeed. All right. Edward Rutledge, Thomas Hayward Jr., Thomas Lynch Jr., and Arthur Middleton. Huzzah! Maryland! All right. Samuel Chase, William Baker, Thomas Stone, and Charles Carrollton of Carrollton. Huzzah! Huzzah! Let's make this good, right? Huzzah! Huzzah! Virginia! George Wythe, Richard Henry Lee, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Harrison, Thomas Nelson Jr., Francis Lightfoot Lee, and Charles Braxton. Huzzah! Pennsylvania! Yes. All right, Pennsylvania. Robert Morris, Benjamin Rush, Benjamin Franklin. Yeah. John Morton, George Clymer, James Smith, George Taylor, James Wilson, and George Ross. Huzzah! Delaware! Delaware, where you at? Huzzah! We got huzzah right there. Caesar Rodney, George Reed, and Thomas McKean. Huzzah! New York, William Floyd, Philip Livingston, Francis Lewis, and Lewis Morris. Huzzah! New Jersey. Huzzah! Come on, Jersey, where you at? Richard Stockton, John Witherspoon, Francis Hopkinson, John Hart, and Abraham Clark. Huzzah! New Hampshire. New Hampshire. Where are you, New Hampshire? There she is, way up in the back. Huzzah! Huzzah, man. Matthew Thornton, Josiah Bartlett, and William Whipple. Huzzah! Rhode Island. There we go. There we go. Stephen Hopkins and William Ellery. Huzzah! Connecticut. My friend. Try that again. Roger Sherman. Samuel Huntington, William Williams, and Oliver Wolcott. Huzzah! And all of this is attested to by the Secretary, Charles Thompson. Huzzah! And to this, we, the people, we all say,
yes, sir.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Again! Huzzah! Once again! Huzzah! Yes!
Huzzah! Love you guys. See y'all next year. All right.
Oh, sir, I have stood there too many cannons. Did I forget Massachusetts? How could I forget Massachusetts? My friends, let me tell you the people from Massachusetts. Guess who we have there? Samuel Adams! John Adams! Robert Treat Payne! And Elbridge Gerry! You know what this proves? The people will not forget their own. Thank you for reminding me.
Okay, we are not the nation of booze anymore. We're the nation of huzzah. Let's go. Thank you to that group. I have to say, you can read the Declaration of Independence or you can listen this way. Which is better? But you gotta go upstairs. Go upstairs and get this close to it, okay? It will mean even more now that we're all here together. I wanna shout out a thank you here to the National Archives staff. You know, it is, all you guys. It is, I look at Trevor up there. It is hard to make it look this easy, but this is incredible. This is your archives. Enjoy it till 10 p.m. We are going to conclude the program by bringing back Master Sergeant Caleb Green for America the Beautiful, and then get yourselves upstairs and enjoy the rest of the 4th of July. Thank you all very much.
Happy birthday, America. Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, forever waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties, above the fruited plain. America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to God bless you. Happy birthday.
You all should know that today's, we marked the anniversary and we're still marking the loss of Frank Zarba, so we wish Miss Jean a very happy anniversary today. I learned in the back room that today is also Mr. Coates' father's birthday. And so he's getting right back on a plane, so he's choosing to spend this time with us. On behalf of the City of Boston and all our visitors, please tell your dad happy, happy birthday from us. And of course, one of our most important partners in the city, Imari Paris Jeffries has been the leader for connecting our communities, for ensuring that we're telling the true history of our city with the Everyone 250 markers, and for in every way that the Embrace and this 250th shares the story of our city. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for your entire team. Okay, almost getting to my remarks. I want to say thank you to our Boston 250 leadership partners for making all of this possible. And can you please, 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 everyone, join me in thanking our city workers, our Parks Department, there's a lot happening in Boston this summer, and so I hope everyone has been enjoying some of the most beautiful and delightful experiences and spaces in the city. It's possible because of our Parks Department, our police officers, our special events team, our public works team, all of our cabinet officials, many of whom are here, and all of everyone who serves on a board or a commission. Thank you for making our city who we are 365 days a year. We've had a full day already. District Attorney Kevin Hayden and I walked the whole length of the 4th of July parade this morning. We ended at the old State House where the Ancient and Honorables read the Declaration from that balcony for the 250th year in a row to our city. Boston always does the 4th of July big. But this particular anniversary has been many years in the making for us. Our role started long before 250 years ago, and we've been marking each of those milestones. And we're also broadening the story of how each of those milestones came to be. When you break it down, 250 years comes out to about 9-10 generations. 10 generations ago, every one of our families was leading a very different life. Some had deep roots on this land going back centuries. Thank you, Jean-Luc, for representing the North American Indian Community Center of Boston here. Others lived thousands of miles away, across oceans. Some had been brought here against their will to build this country, including for this very building. One generation at a time, they made their way to Boston. They crossed the Atlantic and the Pacific, the Rio Grande, the Darien Gap. They started over, worked impossible hours under grueling conditions. They fought for independence and freedom. Every American family has a story about sacrifice. Someone who left the only home they had ever known. Someone who had worked 2 jobs to support their kids. Someone who served in uniform and put their life on the line for the idea of America. Someone who stood up or sat down for a cause bigger than themselves. You might not know all their names back in your family line, but someone, somewhere, back down that line, or sitting beside you this morning, is the reason you are here and the reason America still exists. Because through the good years and the terrible ones, each of those 10 generations has handed So I did a little research, and we went through the archives and pulled up the 3 other letters that have been received when previous time capsules were opened. There was one from 1830, one from 1930, and one from 1981. And there were 2 things that were similar about all those letters. The first was that each of my predecessors used that opportunity, talking to a future mayor, to dream big. They wrote about wildly innovative and imaginative discoveries that might happen in the future. wishing for medical breakthroughs, predicting new fuels, and even flying cars. But the second similarity was how each of the letters started. The one from 1830 began, "Sir." The one from 1930 said, "Dear Sir," a little more polite. And the letter from 1981 began, "Dear Mr. Mayor." They could picture flying cars, but not a woman or a mom reading the letter that would be on the other end of it. Whoever stands here next shouldn't have to feel like a surprise, not to the country and not to themselves. Every kid growing up in our city should know what's possible here. If a child in Roxbury or Chinatown or Mattapan, East Boston learns that people like them built this country and this city, then leading it doesn't sound so crazy. That's what we owe the next 10 generations, the whole story. So while the federal government tries to narrow the story of America, Boston keeps expanding it. Three weeks ago, our city archaeologist, Joe Bagley, took a map that was drawn 251 years ago. Along with musket balls and gun flints from the original battle. Their work throughout the city
Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to a historic broadcast event. Today is the 4th of July, 2026. 250 years ago, Delegates in a sweltering Philadelphia hall signed a document that defined an empire, verted a nation, and launched the most daring democratic experiment in human history. Today, the United States of America marks its semi-quincentennial. Across the United States, this is a day unlike any other. From sea to shining sea, a synchronized coast to coast celebration is unfolding. Right now, you can see in New York Harbor, the grandest maritime gathering in U.S. history is underway with Sail 250. Out west, Los Angeles is anchoring America's Block Party live from the Memorial Coliseum. Later tonight, anyway, welcome once again to Capital Politics special coverage of the America at 250 celebrations. And a and if you're just joining us now, you could see there the live feed from NBC News regarding the Sailport 250 celebration, the parade of or one of the largest international maritime gathering in the history of the United States. Um, you've also seen earlier the Boston or the oration at Boston's Faneuil Hall as they celebrate American independence. You've also seen the reading of uh, the Constitution at the National Archives. Also, Vice President J.D. Vance delivered a message earlier this morning, or just a short while ago. Also, or we are about to see now the burying of time capsule in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, earlier uh, this morning. Uh, uh, in the Independence Mall, again, earlier at the Independence Mall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, uh, a massive historic moment took place as the America's time capsule was officially entered. It will not be seen until the light of day in July 4th, 2020 or 2276. This is no ordinary metal box. This is an 900-pound precision milled stainless steel cylinder engineered by the scientists at the National Institute of Standards and Technology to survive 2.5 centuries underground without succumbing to a water damage. It has been fitted with an airtight metal seal and covered by an 1,100-pound protective steel bell jar. It is built to safely preserve a snapshot of who Americans are right now in 2026 for the citizens who will celebrate the nation's 500th anniversary. The contents inside represents an incredibly diverse, sometimes eccentric tapestry of modern American life, curated from all three branches of government, all 50 states, Washington, D.C., and 5 U.S. territories. Items include in a time capsule are from across the countries and territories. It also includes a Philadelphia Phillies lineup card, a letter from Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, an archival booklet of Pennsylvania's history, a stainless steel plaque from New Jersey, and a handwritten notes from 12 Delaware residents about what the first state means to them. Also, uh, there are also poems from Alabama. From Alaska, there are a map of New Archangel, Alaska. Alaskan flag is also buried there. Uncirculated coins from American Samoa. Some copper ingot from Arizona. That's INGOT or ingot. Arizona bar as well. Letter from the Secretary of State and Arizona America 250 Commission letter. From Arkansas, it was the letter from the governor of Arkansas. In California, letter from the governor, fusion superconductor, California Innovations $1 coin, and cloud AI prediction. According to the America 250 website, given the prompt, write me a prediction of what California will be like 250 years from July 4th, 2026. Cloud artificial intelligence AI, large language models, musings are printed on archival paper, serving as a tangible representation of AI in 2026. It is also written in the website. Only time will tell if the prediction laid out will be realized. So, as mentioned, as you've seen, there's the parade sale for 250 um happening now also. Um there are many events all throughout this day. Um, at 1:15 p.m. Eastern Time, the national moon flyover begins. Um, it will start with NASA F5 flyover and culminating in the Air Force Thunderbirds at 6:25 p.m. and Air Force One at 7:03 p.m. At 9:25 p.m. Eastern Time, the Macy's 50th annual fireworks display will happen at Newark Harbor. At 9:30 p.m., these are all Eastern times. Uh, there will be an America's Block Party from Los Angeles. Uh, yeah, from Los Angeles. At 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time, President Donald Trump will take the stage at the Washington Monument. Again, at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time, President Trump will address or will deliver address from the Washington Monument. We'll bring that to you, as well as the historic finale will be. I think there will be a fireworks display for the uh, finale of these celebrations. Again, Capital Politics will bring you the presidential address to the nation as America celebrates 250, as well as the fireworks display. Also, uh, we'll see. We'll try to see snippets of the block party, America's block party. Again, uh, all throughout the night, you can watch it here on Capital Politics YouTube channel. All right. Um, Capital Politics will first temporarily uh, pause our broadcast of the uh, afternoon events, city block parties, and some other celebrations in the United States. But overall, but our comprehensive day-long coverage is far from over. We'll return live right here at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. When we return, we'll take you directly again at the America's Block Party, as well as President Trump's address and uh, the fireworks display. You won't want to miss a single second of the historic night ahead. Thank you for joining us for this first leg of our journey. Enjoy the afternoon festivities, and we'll see you all back here for live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm Ethan Vargas. This is America at 2:50. Once again, happy 4th of July, America.